Congressman, welcome back to the program. This continuing resolution extends government funding through December the 20th. It's kicking the can down the road, as we all know here. What happens, though, after December the 20th? Are we going to go through the same thing again? Clearly, we'll have results from the election. At least we hope we will. But what's really going to be different at that point that is not happening now?
Yeah, thank you for having me back on, Jason. And you are spot on. It's why I hate CRs so much. It basically is a white flag that says you didn't get your homework in. Can you give me more time? And no matter how much time you give Congress, they're still not going to get their homework in. It's why I voted against the CR, mainly for the reason, let's get our appropriations bills done. Why not today, right? Why are we going to wait until right before Christmas? We already know what's going to happen. We're basically not going to do anything until we get back a couple of days before the CR is due. So why not now? There's no better time than now. So let's enough of the kicking the can down the road, like you said.
How does this change if Trump wins, if Harris wins? The politics will clearly be different.
They will change, but regardless of whoever wins, I don't think anyone in the White House wants to have the appropriations bills on their plate. It is a lot to handle. In many cases, the new administration, they have a 100-day plan and policies that they want to roll out. If you get sucked up into the spending argument, that will eat up a lot of your political capital, is usually how that goes. But at the end of the day, to the winner goes the spoils, if you will. And there will be, whether it's President Trump or Vice President Harris, they'll be the ones that kind of try to dictate some of that. I've been an advocate. The House needs to do its work. Regardless of who's in the White House, the House needs to lead. We need to be the power of the purse. We need to be conservative with our spending, cut down some of the debt, and we need to do our job and not always be looking over our shoulder what people are telling us to do, this, that, or the other.
Congressman, the Speaker of the House, Johnson, wanted a larger funding bill, and he tried to attach it to some harsher voting restrictions, voter registration restrictions that President Trump wanted. Do you agree with that? The president requiring or wanting to require proof of citizenship to vote?
Jason, I did support that. And the reason I supported that is you can feel the animosity, or you can feel the division that's bubbling up right now. And what I don't want to see happen is after the election, you've got one group that says the election was stolen because folks voted illegally, or you got another group that says the election was stolen because the Russians colluded or whatever it may be. I want it to be, Americans have to, you can't always win per se, but you have to believe in your vote. You have to believe that your vote's going to be counted and there isn't going to be fraud in there. So let's get ahead of it. And so that was part of the reasons why I voted for the SAVE Act. But I think it's a very serious issue. The 118th Congress has been very contentious. I think the 119th Congress is going to be even more contentious, and we have to get ahead of this issue, not bury it.
Well, let me ask you, I can prove my citizenship with a passport. I have family members who don't have one, though. How would they prove their citizenship? Because anyone can get a driver's license.
Yeah, the states, it really boils down to the states. And I would like the conversation to go, let's tackle what the states are doing more. Let's give them the resources. Let's figure out what the states are doing to make this work. The bottom line is there's 50 different states. We all do it differently. We just cannot have Americans that do not believe in the process. If you have that, to me, Jason, that is the most dangerous thing to our republic, is you stop believing that it works. And so let's get ahead of that. Let's bring it all out on the table. Let's make sure that we're vetting people and all these things are happening. And we should welcome everyone to vote, right? We should want as many Americans as possible to come out and let their voice be heard.
Congressman, a lot of anxiety around the November election. Are you concerned there might be any political unrest after November the 5th?
Political unrest, to say the least. My goodness. I think regardless of what happens, Jason, it is going to be wild. The division in this country is very real. And that's what I worry about the most. That's why I think it's so important that we have lawmakers that can be statesmen, be that steady hand, bring our country together, be conservative, be whatever your politics are, but find a way that what our country, it doesn't get more divided than it already is. I suspect after the election, regardless of what happens, it is going to be a bumpy ride, and it's going to take a steady hand in order to make sure we get through that. And we will.
Bumpy, I think we will too, but bumpy ride, what do you mean by that? What are you anticipating?
People are going to be angry. If President Trump gets elected, half the population is going to be furious. if Vice President Harris gets elected, half the population is going to be furious. You see how everything is. The numbers are razor thin. Not to mention, that's just the White House. You talk about the Senate and you talk about the House. Those are also going to be very close elections. That's why I've been pushing Hispanics and Hispanic Americans are so critical to House Republicans keeping this majority. That's why I'm going to Arizona. I'm going to South Texas. I'm going to Oregon, Lori Chavez Dreamer. I'll be going to California, John Duarte and David Valadeo, going all over the country, speaking to Hispanic voters to help turn out to make sure we control the House.
Let me ask you, we're hearing from some Valley Republicans in South Texas there that the GOP isn't investing enough like it has in the past, especially for state house races, even some congressional races. Do you think the Republican Party should be doing more in South Texas?
You know what, Jason? They absolutely should be doing more. And you know what? And I've had 7 very contentious races. I've never waited on anyone to come and save the day, because if you wait on someone, whether it's the party or national or outside groups, you'll be waiting a long time. I always say it's a candidate's responsibility to roll up their sleeves and go to work. That's what I've done in my district. Go to places that most Republicans hadn't been to, go there over and over again. Last election, we won Maverick County, very Democrat area. I hope to continue that trend. But part of it too is it isn't fair that candidates have to do it alone. I do believe there needs to be more groups, especially from the Hispanic standpoint, going out and helping members stay in office. That's why I'm traveling all over the country, and also here in Texas, growing that Hispanic population to be voting Republicans.
Congressman, you just introduced the Protect the Permian Act this week, which is designed to protect the Permian Basin against oil theft. Who in the world is stealing oil from out there?
You know, Jason, so my district is 823 miles of the border, but it's also a large part of the Permian Basin. I've got, Loving County and Reeves County and Pecos and Crane and Winkler, all these counties around that are huge oil producers. And about 2 years ago, one of my county judges turned me on to this oil theft issue. And I go, how do you even steal oil? He goes, Tony, it looks a lot like a legal transaction. You have a truck that backs up into a tanker, and then they just siphon the oil and they drive away. Once again, looks like a legal transaction. So then as I've started to get up to speed on it, how do you tackle that? It's pretty simple. You tackle that by combining your resources, having these task forces, this Permian Basin task forces, where you have federal, state, and local law enforcement all pulling their resources to combat against this rising oil theft crisis.
How big of a deal is that, though? It sounds like a normal transaction, but wow, if I have a production site or a drilling site out there, I would think that I would have somebody or something out there guarding it. How big of a deal is this?
It is a big deal. I mean, I'll give you an example. I got a text message from a constituent that said, "Hey, last week, Tony, our company lost $40,000 worth of product." So imagine if you're losing tens of thousands of dollars every week. And so out in the Permian, a lot of times you have these very remote sites, that yes, they have security, yes, they have cameras, but it's very difficult to track. And these organizations are getting more complex. So we have to match their intensity, if you will. I'd also remind nearly 50% of your viewers, nearly 50% of the nation's oil production comes out of the Permian Basin. So this isn't just a, hey, West Texas issue. This is a national issue. I asked the director of FBI under oath when he testified before my committee what his thoughts were, and he said it's a national security issue, and that the FBI is committed to helping lead these oil theft task force.
And last question on that, just for my clarification, a lot of this is crude, I would presume. I mean, what do they do with crude when it hasn't been refined yet?
It's interesting. So, there's these fracking companies that they'll reclaim the water. And so part of that is they can sell some of the oil as they're separating water from oil. They're allowed to sell some of that oil back. So in many cases, that's what they'll use. I mean, it's a very much a coordinated effort where this is occurring. I'd also say I'm seeing it grow because, a couple of years ago it was 1 or 2 counties. Now it's every county I go to. And it's every issue. We did a roundtable in Monahans out in West Texas, Monahans, Texas, and there was, we had 20 different people there, and everyone was saying that this is an issue. Let me give one other example on the gas issue where it's expanding. I had a convenience store operator tell me that now folks are driving their vans up to where the tanks are Like, you see the tanker come and fill up the gas station off to the side. Well, now these vans are coming. They're cutting the locks. They're siphoning out a couple 100 gallons worth of gasoline, and then they're driving off. It's a really complex issue, but it's also one that is growing and growing and growing in intensity. And in order to combat against it, we have to do that. We have to match that. That's the reason why I introduced the Permian Basin, the Protect the Permian Act, to do exactly that.
Congressman, we had you on the program a while back talking about your Find and Protect Foster Youth Act. This was something that meant a lot to you personally. You've been working on it for a long time, and it was just passed into law. Tell me exactly what this new federal law is going to do.
I am so excited about the Find and Protect Foster Act. We've worked 4 years on this thing, just grinding our way through. My wife Angel is a foster child, so we know how difficult the foster system is. It does a couple simple things. Right now, we have thousands of foster kids that run away, and when they come back, they get put back into the system. What happens to them? So the bill goes, basically says, why did you run away? When you were gone, was there abuse of any kind? Was there drug abuse? Were you homeless? It gives you the resources you need, and it combats that. Sadly, there's over 50% of people that are homeless are somehow tied into the foster care system. But yet the foster care system only accounts for a handful of percentage of the overall population. So we have to put more effort towards it. This is the first of many things I'll do in this space, but I'm really excited. It's already passed the Senate with the help of Senator Cornyn. Really appreciate his help. And now it's passed the House. It's headed to the White House to get signed into law.
When will the president sign it? Any idea?
It should be any day now. Yeah, the president should be signing any day. We literally send an email every day. I go, hey, where's my pen from the president that he signed it? So we're staying on top of it.
He owes you one.
That's it.
Congressman, thanks for the time. We appreciate it. Congratulations again on the bill.
Thank you, Jason.